Dr. K. Sendilkumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, Loganatha Narayanaswamy Government College, Ponneri, Chennai. He has done PhD in Material Science at Anna University, Chennai. He has 17 years of teaching experience. He has published 5 articles in national and international conferences and journals. He attended more than 14 conferences and workshops in all over India.
Welcome to UGC lecture series. Today we are going to see the topic Quantum Mechanics, session 2. The last session we have seen some of the inadequacies of classical mechanics, say starting from black body radiation, then Planck's radiation law. We have derived Planck's radiation equation in terms of frequency as well as in terms of wavelength. Then we have extended that Planck's radiation law into shorter wavelength limits and longer wavelength limits, say Wien's displacement law and Rayleigh-Jeans law respectively. Then we have seen photoelectric effect. What is photoelectric effect? Importance of photoelectric effect. Then some of the applications of photoelectric effect we have seen and we have discussed in the last session. So, objectives of this session: to explain the theory and experimental verification of Compton effect, then to study the Frank-Hertz experiment and to reveal the wave nature of matter by means of de Broglie's hypothesis. First we will see Compton effect. We know that like ordinary X-rays, like ordinary light waves, X-rays are also scattered by matter in 2 different ways, namely the first one is Thomson scattering, then the second one is Compton scattering. Now let us see one by one. What is Thomson scattering? This Thomson scattering is also called it as elastic or coherent scattering. What is meant by elastic? Elastic means after the scattering, if there is no energy loss, it is said to be elastic. That is why the Thomson scattering is termed as elastic or coherent scattering. So, X-rays are scattered by electrons without any change in their wavelength. This type of scattering was explained by Thomson on the basis of classical electromagnetic theory. Then the second one is Compton scattering. This is also called it as inelastic or incoherent scattering. What is meant by inelastic? In the scattering, after the scattering, the energy will be lost. So, if there is energy loss, which is said to be inelastic. So, this Compton scattering is termed as inelastic or incoherent scattering. What is Compton scattering? The scattered X-rays consist of 2 components, one having the same wavelength as that of incident light and the other has slightly longer wavelength than the incident light. So, this phenomena is known as Compton scattering. So, this Compton scattering is explained on the basis of quantum theory of radiations. So, this is schematic diagram of theory of Compton effect. So, what is happening here? So, this is the incident photon. Photon we have seen already, E is equal to h nu from Planck's equation. This photon falls on a material at a low atomic number, for example, paraffin or carbon. When this photon strikes this material, then electrons present in this material acquire energy. So, this incident photon scattered as scattered photon then we have seen in the definition one with the same wavelength as that of incident light and the another one with longer wavelength, slightly longer than the incident wavelength. Then what is this? The electrons at rest before the collision. After collision, these electrons acquire some energy and move with the velocity v with an angle phi with the incident X-rays. So, this electron is known as recoiling electron. So, when we can easily define the Compton effect. Compton effect refers to the change in wavelength of the scattered X-rays by a material of low atomic number. For example, we can say low atomic number material paraffin or carbon. Let the incident X-ray photon with an energy h nu and momentum h nu by c be incident on the electron at rest. Let that electron be at 0 initial momentum and has only the rest mass energy m naught c squared, since m naught is the rest mass of the electron. After scattering, the photons moves off in a direction inclined at an angle theta to the original direction with the momentum h nu dash by c and the energy h nu dash. At the same time, electron acquires a momentum m v and moves at an angle phi to the original direction of X-rays. The energy of the recoil electron is m c squared. The acquired energy, that is kinetic energy of the recoil electron, is equal to m c squared minus m naught c squared. What is m c squared? M c squared we have got from Einstein's mass energy relation. After collision, the energy of the electron is m c squared. Before collision, electron is at rest, so the energy of electron is m naught c squared. So, difference of these two will give you half m v squared. Let us see the diagram again. So, this is incident photon. So, we know h nu is the energy of the photon. So, from Planck's equation, we know we can write E is equal to h nu. This is energy of the photon, we have seen already. How will you write the momentum of a photon? We know the equation for Einstein's mass energy relation. So, E is equal to m c square. Here the left hand sides are equal. So, right hand side also should be equal. So, while equating this, m c square is equal to h nu. Then m c is equal to, you take one c to that side. So, this becomes h nu by c. So, m c, what is meant by m c? It is a momentum, linear momentum. So, linear momentum we can write as h nu by c in terms of the radiation and velocity of light, because the momentum is p denoted by the letter p and it is defined by mass into velocity. Here mass is m, velocity is c. So, momentum can be written as h nu by c. That is why we have written energy is h nu and momentum is h nu by c. This is before collision. After collision, the energy h nu becomes h nu dash. Similarly, the momentum h nu by c becomes h nu dash by c. So, the momentum we can write here h nu dash by c. So, then again recoil electron we have seen already. Now, let us derive the Compton wavelength or Compton shift. According to the principle of conservation of energy, we can write before collision, that is the total energy before collision is equal to the total energy after collision. We have got a equation h nu plus m naught c squared is equal to h nu dash plus m c square. So, this left hand side indicates the total energy of the electron as well as photon. So, electron energy is m naught c squared, photon energy is h nu. So, the total energy becomes electron energy and the photon energy. Similarly, we can write in the right hand side, we have got two terms h nu dash plus mc squared. The first term denotes the scattered photon, that is the energy of the scattered photon. The second term denotes the energy of the electron, that is recoil electron. Then similarly, we can write the equation for the momentum. According to principle of conservation of momentum, before collision what is the momentum is equal to after collision. So, in the energy equation we do not have x component and y component, but here in the momentum we have x component as well as y component. We suppose to know what is x component, what is y component. See here, after collision the x-rays are scattered in this direction. So, this scattered x-rays can be resolved into two components, namely horizontal component and vertical component. How this concept we have got? This is the concept we have got from force can be resolved into two components. See, this is a force with an angle theta. So, this F becomes Fx and Fy. Fx is the horizontal component or x component, Fy is a vertical component or y component. In this concept only we have resolved this scattered photon into horizontal component and vertical component. Horizontal component is the x component, then vertical component is the y component. Now, let us go to the derivation. So, momentum before collision h nu by c already we have seen, I have explained. Then after collision for x component we have got the equation. Similarly, for y component we have got the equation. We supposed to know why we have put 0 here. So, before collision there is no momentum, electron is at rest only. Before collision electron is at rest, that means the incident photon is not hitting this material. If it hits only, the electrons present in this material will move. So, before hitting this electron is at rest, that means there is no velocity, so there is no momentum. That is why momentum becomes 0 here. So, before collision momentum is 0 in the for y component, then after collision momentum we have written. Then using this equation 2 and 3 we can simplify. So, mvc cos phi is equal to h into nu minus nu dash cos theta, that is denoted by equation number 4. Similarly, for y component mvc sin phi is equal to h nu dash sin theta, that is denoted by the equation 5. Squaring and adding these two equation, what we have got? M squared v squared c squared. So, mvc cos theta whole square becomes m squared v squared c squared cos squared phi. Similarly, m squared v squared c squared sin squared phi. The common term is m squared v squared c squared. So, we have taken outside. So, within bracket we will have cos squared phi plus sin squared phi. Since we know the formula sin squared theta plus cos squared theta is equal to 1. So, we can have cos squared phi plus sin squared phi is equal to 1. So, after simplifying we have written directly m squared v squared c squared. Similarly, we have simplified for the right hand side, then we have got h squared nu squared minus 2 nu dash cos theta plus nu dash squared. This we have expanded by means of a minus b whole squared formula. We know a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, accordingly we have written, but of course cos squared theta is supposed to come here, but altogether with this term cos squared theta plus sin squared theta is equal to 1. So, we have got the final and the simplified right hand side equation will be like this. This is indicated in terms of equation number 6. Now, from the first equation we can write. So, mc squared is equal to h nu dash, if it goes there then h nu minus h nu dash. So, this is what we have written here. Then from equation 1, then we have squared, we have got mc squared c power 4 is equal to h squared into nu squared minus 2 nu dash plus nu dash squared plus 2h into nu minus nu dash m naught c squared plus m naught squared c power 4. Then if we subtract this equation 6 from 7, we have got this equation m squared c squared into c squared minus v squared is equal to minus 2h squared nu dash into 1 minus cos theta plus 2h into nu minus nu dash m naught c squared plus m naught squared c power 4, which is denoted by the equation number 8. Now, according to theory of relativity, we can write the equation m is equal to m naught divided by square root of 1 minus v squared by c squared. Here m is the mass of the particle, m naught is the rest mass of the particle, v is the velocity of the particle, c is the velocity of light. Now, squaring this equation, we get m squared c squared into c squared minus v squared is equal to m naught squared c power 4, that is denoted by the equation 10. Now, substituting this equation 10 in 8 and simplifying, we get, so what happens here, this m naught squared c power 4 we substitute here. So, instead of this we can substitute this one. So, this term gets cancelled. So, finally, you will have right hand side this first term and the second term. So, this is in negative term, if it goes there you will get a positive term. So, you will have only these two terms by equating and simplifying. So, you have only these two terms. So, in this equation the nu refers to radiation, that is frequency of radiation. This nu is frequency of incident X-rays, nu dash is the frequency of scattered X-rays. We can have only the frequency terms in the left hand side, all other terms in the right hand side. So, nu minus nu dash by nu dash is equal to h by m naught c squared into 1 minus cos theta. Then we have, after simplifying, 1 by nu dash minus 1 by nu is equal to h by m naught c squared. Now, we know the formula, nu is equal to c by lambda, that is, this is the relation between frequency, this is the relation between frequency, wavelength and velocity. Now, we have 1 by nu. If nu is equal to c by lambda, then what will be 1 by nu is equal to lambda by c. So, using this relation we can simplify this equation further. After simplifying, we get lambda dash, that is, we are supposed to get lambda dash by c minus lambda by c is equal to h by m naught c squared. But in these two terms in denominators c will be common. So, this c and this c squared gets cancelled. So, we have power 2 becomes 1. So, finally, we have got the equation lambda dash minus lambda is equal to d lambda, that is equal to h by m naught c into 1 minus cos theta, that is the final equation, that is equation number 11. Thus, the change in wavelength d lambda of the incident X-rays depends on angle of scattering theta only. That is not depend on what is the wavelength of incident X-rays, what is the wavelength of scattered X-rays and what is the scattering substance. It does not matter, only the scattering angle is a matter. That proves by the theory of Compton effect, that we can easily understandable by the equation 11. Now, let us see the equation 11. Lambda dash is the wavelength of the scattered photon, lambda is the wavelength of the incident photon. So, the difference is d lambda, or we used to say d lambda is the Compton wavelength or Compton shift, that is equal to h by m naught c into 1 minus cos theta. Here h is a Planck's constant, is a constant value, m naught is the rest mass of electron, is a constant value, c is the velocity of light, is a constant value. So, in right hand side, except theta, all other terms are constant, only the variable quantity is theta. So, this d lambda is proportional to this theta only, since all other terms are constant. That is why we can easily say this d lambda, that is Compton shift, depends only on the scattering angle, not on the scattering substance. Now, we understand easily the Compton shift d lambda or Compton wavelength d lambda depends only on the scattering angle theta, not on the scattering substance. Now, based on the scattering angle, we have different cases. Now, case 1, when theta is equal to 0, cos theta is equal to 1, and hence d lambda is equal to 0. That means, we substitute here theta is equal to 0. So, h by m naught c into 1 minus cos theta, you substitute theta is equal to 0, then cos 0 is equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is equal to 0, 0 into anything is 0. So, d lambda is equal to 0, we have got d lambda is equal to 0. That means that there is no loss of energy for the X-ray photon. Whatever we send the X-ray photon, if the angle is 0, then automatically that X-rays alone is coming out. There is no double wavelength when theta is equal to 0, that is indicated by the case 1. Now, let us go to the case 2. What is case 2 indicates? When theta is equal to 90 degree, then cos theta is equal to 0. So, in this we substitute, then cos theta is equal to 0, we have got h by m naught c into 1. So, simply d lambda is equal to h by m naught c. So, d lambda is equal to h by m naught c. We have got the final value 0.0243 Armstrong unit. How we have got this equation? We have got this value by substituting Planck's constant value, rest mass of electron value, velocity of light value. We have got the numerical value of wavelength 0.0243 Armstrong unit. We know that 1 Armstrong unit is equal to 10 power minus 10 meter. That means, there is finite loss of energy of the X-ray photon, that is called Compton wavelength. So, what we have understand? When theta is equal to 0, there is no loss. When theta is equal to 90 degree, there is a finite loss. So, that wavelength we used to say Compton wavelength. Now, let us go to case 3. When theta is equal to 180 degree, cos theta is equal to minus 1. If you substitute this cos theta value here, so h by m naught c into 1 minus of minus 1. 1 minus of minus 1 becomes 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That means 2 h by m naught c. That means that twice that of this value. That means that twice that of 0.0243 Armstrong unit will come when theta is equal to 180 degree. So, that is why we have got d lambda is equal to 2 h by m naught c and its value is 0.048 Armstrong unit. Thus, the Compton wavelength, that is the Compton effect, can be explained only on the basis of quantum theory of radiation. Now, let us see the experimental verification of Compton effect. So, this is X-ray tube. X-ray tube emits X-rays. We know this is a Coolidge tube. This emits X-ray photon, falls on a low atomic material. We have seen carbon or a paraffin. So, graphite. So, graphite is one of the form of a carbon, that is why we have used graphite here, then gets scattered. The scattered X-rays can be observed by Bragg crystal X-ray spectrometer. Then we can identify the theta, that is called scattering angle. So, detector detect the peaks, that is 2 peaks at wavelengths lambda and lambda dash. Lambda we know incident wavelength, lambda dash we know scattered wavelength. So, this figure we have seen already, that is a schematic arrangement of Compton effect. The monochromatic X-rays are allowed to fall on the scatterer and the scattered X-rays are received by a Bragg spectrometer and the wavelengths are determined. The angle theta could be changed by shifting the X-ray tube. So, this is the pattern we have got for the experimental verification. So, this is theta is equal to 0 degree. We know that d lambda is equal to 0, that means there is no shift, only we have got the primary radiation. Then when we increase the angle, that is scattering angle, we are slowly getting the primary and secondary radiation. The primary wavelength is lambda, secondary wavelength is lambda dash. We know the difference in this we get d lambda. So, what happens when you increase the theta values? When you increase the theta values, we are getting the difference is more, that is the Compton shift is more. So, similarly, when theta is equal to 135 degree, the Compton shift is increases. So, maximum where we get when theta is equal to 180 degree, the d lambda value becomes 0.04 something Armstrong unit. So, from the plot we have found, in addition to the incident wavelength, there exists a line of longer wavelength for theta is more than 0 degree. The Compton shift d lambda is found to vary with the angle theta as shown in figure. The Compton shift d lambda is maximum at theta is equal to 180 degree. Now, let us summarize what are the topics we have seen. Actually, this Compton effect is a very big topic. This will come in big questions also. So, very big topic. So, this is one of the inadequacies of classical mechanics as we have seen earlier, like your photoelectric effect and the Compton effect. So, what actually we have seen today, the scattering types, one is elastic scattering, another one is inelastic scattering. So, Thomson scattering under elastic scattering and Compton scattering under inelastic scattering. We have seen two different scattering types. Then we have in detailed explained, we have seen Compton effect, theory of a Compton effect. Then we have derived the Compton equation based on the quantum theory of radiation by using conservation of law of energy as well as conservation of law of momentum. Then finally, we have got the theoretical equation lambda dash minus lambda is equal to d lambda is equal to h by m naught c into 1 minus cos theta. Then what we have concluded in that equation? The d lambda Compton shift is mainly depends on the scattering angle, but not depends on the scattering substance as well as the incident wavelength or scattered wavelength, whatever it may be. So, depends only on the scattering substance we have seen. Then we have seen different cases where we get the modified radiation, where we get the unmodified radiation by means of scattering angle. When theta is equal to 0, we get only primary radiation, that we call it as unmodified radiation. When theta is equal to 90 degree and 180 degree, then we are getting unmodified radiation. So, where we get the maximum shift means the difference is maximum between lambda dash and lambda, we have got only at theta is equal to 180 degree. Then we have seen some experimental verification of this Compton effect. Then we have seen plots for theta is equal to 0 degree, 45 degree, 90 degree and 135 degree. So, these are all the experimental verifications we have seen in this session. Now, let us go for the question session. So, what are the questions can be asked? Differentiate elastic and inelastic scattering. We can write elastic means there is no loss of energy after scattering. Inelastic means there will be loss of energy after the scattering. That is the difference between elastic and inelastic scattering. The next one is define Compton effect. Scattering will happen, that means photon of wavelength lambda or photon of energy h nu incident on a low atomic material, say paraffin or carbon. Then scattered X-rays consist of two components. One is the same wavelength as that of incident light and the another one has got slightly longer wavelength than the incident wavelength. So, this phenomena is known as Compton effect and the scattering we call it as Compton scattering. Then we can have a questions, write the expression for Compton wavelength. Then we know we can write the expression lambda dash minus lambda is equal to d lambda, that is equal to h by m naught c into 1 minus cos theta. Then we can also have one more questions, at which scattering angle the Compton shift will be maximum, that also we have seen. At theta is equal to 180 degree, the Compton shift is maximum. Then rest of the topics in this unit and in this quantum mechanics subject we will see in the next session. Thank you for your kind attention.